Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast you don't want to be on. In order to celebrate this small milestone of 10th episode, I thought we'll do things a little bit differently. So I invited a very special guest and we talked all things tech. So let's see how it went. So thanks a lot, Adam, for being on this special episode of our podcast. I really can't thank you enough. And everyone knows who Adam is. If not, then can I say you're the MKBSD of Malaysia, or you don't like the reference?
It's a good reference.
Yeah.
I've met, anyway, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a good reference. I've met Marcus 3 times in Apple
Great.
Park. Very nice guy. Definitely one of the best tech YouTubers in the world. So
course.
I guess the reference is very flattering. So I would take that. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, thanks. Since it's a little bit different than our usual theme.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk to you about all things tech. So we'll just start a conversation. Let's start with the recent Apple Store, which opened. You visited. How was the experience? What does that mean for the country going forward? It's one of the most beautiful Apple stores in the world at the moment, right? I've only seen pictures.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind sharing your experience, and then we'll take it from there.
I'm very happy from two perspectives. One perspective is obviously my career. As a content creator, it can be a little challenging when Apple stores were not in Malaysia.
Yeah.
For example, the M4 iPad Pro. By the time I got my hands on it, is only when it was available in Malaysia. Because we don't have an Apple store, so there's a huge gap between when the product is released and when do we Malaysians have it. So from a content creator's perspective, it's amazing because I can finally get my hands on the devices earlier. It's going to be obviously in the Apple stores, so all your distributors will have it as well.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of the structure of what Apple stores brings in throughout the whole entire world, like what you said. I've been in every country which I always visit. That is like always my to-do list of going to those places. So from a content creator's perspective, it's great, buddy. I love the fact that now that it's here in Malaysia, it's great. From a user's perspective, it's good because things like Apple Care, like a lot of people dropping their phones,
Yes.
their Macs, maybe have some water damage, things like this. Now at least you have Apple Care, which is like your warranty specifically for Apple.
Yeah.
You can buy online and go to TRX to pick it up, because sometimes when you buy a Mac, for example, or even the Apple Studio Display, I think it's nicer that you go and collect it versus rely on the postage people.
Yeah.
No disrespect to postage people, but I kind of have a very mixed experience with things like that. And having the pickup is great. And of course, having hands-on with the devices, it's something whereby as a user, before you buy it, you can actually hold it and try it out as well. And finally would be, like what you said, it is one of the most beautiful stores in the world. I think that it puts Malaysia into a map whereby it's one of the countries which has an Apple store, because not every country has an Apple store. And knowing the fact that Malaysia is one of the many countries or several countries which has an Apple store, I think that's a very good thing for not only from a content creator's perspective, but also from a user's perspective as well.
And I think it will also speed up the repair process, because earlier, remember, I had an iPad which didn't, screen fucked up. So I went to machines, they sent it to Singapore. It took I think 12 days for them to replace it, but now it will be much quicker, right?
Yeah, it's quicker, and also they have their area which is called a Genius Bar.
Yeah.
And it's the area whereby sometimes, I mean, if it's a physical issue, then fine. But sometimes it could be a software issue, and that's where the people from the Genius Bar will kind of help to go through what is the issues that you're facing, or if you have anything at all. And what's good is that it's for free.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry about so when you go to TRX, which has tons of great restaurants there anyway, you can always drop by to the Apple store, speak to the geniuses there, and then you can just go for your shopping or whatever not, and you have people who are really great. And during the launch, I also heard that apparently most of them can speak many languages.
Okay, to cater
So
different
yes,
tourists
which is
coming up.
amazing because typically when you have someone to interview in a store, you'll be like, oh, you can speak Bahasa Malaysia and English and you're sorted. It's nice that the people who's working over there have knowledge on several languages, which means that people from all over the country, depending on which Apple stuff that you visit over there, knows this kind of knowledge. So it's amazing. It really puts the difference between having an Apple store in Malaysia and not having an Apple store in Malaysia. And I think people, especially consumers, will be able to already see that.
Yeah, exactly. And why do you think it took Apple such a long time to come here? I mean, Apple penetration is quite heavy in Malaysia. I could be wrong. You can correct me. At least in KL, what I've seen. So why did it, like, they opened in Thailand, Singapore? They opened 2 stores. They were opening in region, but why not here? Was it policies? Like, whoa,
I don't think it's policies. I guess I can't speak on behalf of Apple, but I think that it's not only something which is within anybody's control. I think like they had to probably strategize on where's the right place to be. Again, I can't speak on their behalf, but there are certain countries which doesn't have an Apple store. Like for example, Indonesia, there's no Apple store in Indonesia. So yeah, so I can also say the same thing for a Google store. Why isn't there a Google store in Malaysia? Like a lot of people, there's so many Android users in Malaysia, right? Why isn't there a Google store? There's no Google store in Singapore. They have an online store. So I think from a consumer and also a content creator or a reviewer's perspective, it's hard to know why. And of course, we can't speak on behalf of the brands. And it is frustrating because I would love to have more tech brands to open their main offices here. Like I said, that you have an Apple store, which is great, but why isn't there a Google store in Malaysia until today?
Yeah.
Things like that. So at the same time, I truly agree with you on what you mean by there's a lot of Apple users here, but that the same could be said for other like Google, like a lot of people, because I do review the Google Pixel phone as well, and I actually go to Singapore and buy it and come back here and review it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Or like the last Google Pixel, I was in Australia and I bought it in Melbourne and came here. It'd be great that it's available in Malaysia. And whenever I review like a Google Pixel, I always tell my audience that, please keep in mind that it's not officially available in Malaysia. So warranty and stuff, that's where you might need to understand the limitations of having a phone which is not here in Malaysia. Yeah. So just to conclude, in my humble opinion, not that I can speak beyond the brands, I think this whole idea of having specific stores in Malaysia, whether or not it's Apple or for example Google and stuff like that, I think it's definitely way much more deeper from a business perspective rather than saying, oh, we have a lot of users or a lot of people buying Apple products in Malaysia. It's time for us to open a store. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other behind the scenes decisions that a brand needs to make.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's talk about your journey a little bit, because usually we tell a little bit of story with with our guests. So, content creation, you started it 7 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
like proper.
There's a long story to it. I'll try to keep it as not so long. I started in the media industry as a musician. I was a rap metal vocalist. I was doing music starting from 2002. And then I eventually was doing event management on the side. So I was doing event management, I had my own event management company. One of my clients were Astro, and Astro was interested in hiring me. So I was working for Astro about 5 years as the event head and also as the music head, because I had both the experience. Towards the end of the year, my final year in Astro, I had this idea of doing tech videos, because I was always been the resident tech guy within my family and friends. Whenever they want to buy headphones, whenever they buy phones, is this a good phone? They used to call me. I was not the best writer, which funnily enough that I write a lot now. I write a lot of scripts. So I told myself, oh, probably I don't want to come up with a blog or a website. So I said, you know what, maybe I should do YouTube. But my biggest issue is that I had no knowledge whatsoever about video production, what cameras to use and stuff like that. So I work out every day. So I took the time to work out in the morning instead of watching Netflix and stuff. I decided to learn about cameras, learn about all this kind of stuff. So that's how my journey kind of started. So I was doing YouTube on the side, probably maybe about a year. And then when I quit my job in Astro, I told myself I'm just going to go full-fledged with doing tech YouTube and never look back.
Yeah, I mean, it looks very nice, very flashy, being a YouTuber. Okay, I'm not a YouTuber at all. I just started this channel, and I can tell you, it's exhausting, right? Even my videos, they need minimal editing because this one take. I just put something at the beginning, and that's it. I mean, videos which you do, there are so many cuts and camera angles and product close-ups and whatnot. For me, it takes one whole day. And I mean, it's very, it looks flashy, but it's really not. So I want to talk about a little bit of that side of being a YouTuber, how difficult it is. Is it, can you rely on it financially? Of course, after a certain level, at MKBSD level, of course, you don't have to worry about it. But when you're starting, someone who's thinking of, okay, I'm going to quit my job. This is what I want to do. So if you don't mind, giving a little bit tips that all that glitter is not all that shine is not glitter, whatever that fucking term is.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have another few questions which I'll get to.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I would love to share because I always encourage people to do what I do. It's something whereby, yes, it does take a lot of work. Some people still think, especially now in the day of AI, people are like, oh, you just press one button and everything is done. It's not like it. Let me just go a little further back on how it started and when I started making the money, right? I've always told people that whoever wants to start a YouTube channel, and I'm sure you started this podcast based on passion. Sounds cliche as hell.
Yeah.
But it is. Because what I did is that when I put my whole blood, sweat and tears on the YouTube channel, I started off in a very, I started out at home. And what I did is that I was staying alone that time. And I converted my master bedroom into the studio and I was sleeping in the store.
Okay.
For about a year and a half.
Okay.
I knew that I was not making money, but it was something whereby I wanted to do. A lot of people do not know this story.
But this is passion, right?
Yeah,
what you just said, right?
But I wouldn't give a timeline on when exactly I started making money, and I wouldn't make a timeline, especially to anyone who wants to open a YouTube channel. But I've always tell people that you need to put passion first, right?
Yeah.
You need to have your rainy day savings to make sure you try for a year.
Yeah.
And if a year nothing happens, then you can probably look back. There's this very interesting book by Seth Godin. It's called The Dip. So he talks about when to quit and when not to quit. And this is something whereby you will know whether or not the dip is there for you to immediately quit, or is that something that you want to push through. For me, I knew that I just wanted to push through. Some people look at the pandemic as a lot of people look at the pandemic as something very negative, which is true. There was a mixture of negativity. I lost people, and also I've gained a lot too. What I've gained is actually business, because I started probably going all out just a year before the pandemic, and when the pandemic hit, all the brands panicked because they have all their marketing budget, they don't know where to spend it,
Yeah.
They cannot do on-ground events. And while here I was having my studio in my master bedroom, sleeping in a store for a year without, natural light and stuff like that, I was approached by the brands and said that, hey, can you do this type of videos? And we don't mind giving you payment. I was like, okay, it's about time,
Yeah.
number one. But what I always tell people, and for your audience, is that why I absolutely love my job, although it's a lot of work, which I'll go into that, is the fact that the payment comes not because they have the control on what exactly that I can say or what I need to say. They will probably highlight on the key features of the product, but they don't control what they say. So, which means that what they're actually paying is the production value that I provide, instead of me typically just, like standing in front of the camera, just talking away, not having any B-roll shots, not having any product shots like close-up and stuff like that. So those time is what they're paying for instead of paying me to be a person or a spokesperson for the brand.
But is that normal though? That brands paying for to review a product? But you said that money is for your time,
Yeah.
not for the review. But is that industry norm that every brand pays the tech YouTubers for their time, not for what they're going to say? Does that happen?
It's a very
everywhere,
good question, buddy. It depends on the region or maybe the status that you are in. Like based on me speaking and also watching a couple of interviews from like MKBHD, for example, he does not take money from the brands at all.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's in that level whereby like he's making money from the views. He doesn't need money
exactly.
coming from
He
the
can
brands.
make and break companies, which
Yeah.
we can
I mean,
discuss. Right?
that's a whole
Yeah.
that's a whole topic on its own.
Yeah.
I believe that it comes down to the exact area or maybe the country. I can't speak on what other countries is, but in Malaysia, there is, all in all, being for the past 8 years, I think, I know there's two types of paid content. One is that it is purely sponsored, where here's where the influencers come to play, whereby like they just get money and then they just do it and just promote. And then there is my side of things, or me and our peers, whereby we do based on content creation.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that it's a global norm, but in Malaysia, that's how I make money. Besides tech, I've been a very huge fan of action figures. I love the hot toys and stuff. I'm a huge fan of the Joker. Before even, I wanted to create a YouTube channel, but when I wanted to create a niche, I wanted to create a niche which I was passionate, but at the same time, I had to think business. Like, what are the chances that these toy companies are going to pay me for doing my unboxing and stuff like that, compared to a tech company who has consistent tech releases?
Yes.
So that's where you need to kind of put in a little of your business hat into it when you choose your career and what you do exactly on YouTube. So no matter what niche that you go through, if you go into a financial niche, maybe that could be something that you have to look into on how you can make money from that specific niche per se. And like I said, for Malaysia, for a tech reviewer, I think that is one of the two ways where you can make money when it comes to doing tech videos here on YouTube. Yeah.
What's your process of selecting a product to review? Because there's so many, like fuck tons of phones coming out every day, and in all different kind of budgets. If you want to spend 8,000, you can buy a phone. You want to spend 800, you can buy a phone.
Yeah.
It both will send WhatsApp messages, of course. You know, the experience will be different. So how do you go about? I'm sure not every review you do is by the not paid, right?
Of course, yeah.
A lot of them are. Most of them, I think, are your own.
Yes. Good question.
So how do you decide? Okay, this phone, this is not worth it. Okay, well, let's go with. I'm not talking about Samsungs and Apples of the world. I'm talking about the Chinese brands, or because in there's so much variety that, and of course, there's a big market for it as well.
Very good question. It depends on the audience, honestly. Like there are certain, because similar like other tech YouTubers across the world, like MKBHD or Arun Maini from Mr. Was the Boss, they don't cover every brand because it's too much. Like what you said,
of course.
There are too many brands, and for our perspective, we look at the audience. Like, what is the audience responding towards the most? So the decision making on what to review comes in two things. Number one is things that I am excited about and is new. Number two would be, what are the type of videos that the audience like and what specific brand? At this point in time, in June 2024, our audience really loved the Poco brand, which is a sub-brand of Xiaomi. And every single time when we do a review on a Poco phone, it will garner a lot of views and engagement to a point whereby like it started becoming a staple for our channel. besides the Samsung and the Apples
Yeah.
of the world in terms of doing reviews. It is very much into what the audience needs. So we have two different decision making. One is what is new and what excites us as tech fans. And the second part would be, well, I wouldn't call it like number one, number two, but the second section would be what the audience wants. We do take comments very seriously, suggestions, not the negative ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it off. But the suggestions comments, like they say, oh, can you review the Poco F6 versus the Poco F3, which was a 3-year-old phone? I said, okay, cool. I also listened to the audience by doing a revisited series whereby I reviewed the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus or the iPhone 10, which was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just to 5-7 years ago, just to tell people that, if you come across a second-hand version of this phone, how does it work in 2024? So again, those were something which was more catered towards what the audience wanted.
Yeah.
It worked well, and you know what they said, that if that particular direction as a content creator works well, you just have to double down on it, and that is what the decision making process for us as a channel.
Okay. And do you think that if you're reviewing a product, do you think, and I'm in the market to buy a phone. My budget is, let's say, 2,000 ringgit, yeah? And you have reviewed 3 phones in the same budget. Do you think that you have helped, or your videos has helped people deciding from one phone to another, even though they have the similar, the mother company is the same, right?
Yeah.
There are only a handful of companies in China.
Yeah.
It's just a different logo and maybe camera bumps and all. So do you think how much of your reviews have influenced people's decision in buying those products?
Very high, actually, and that's the reason why I do what I do. It gives me the sense of acceptance, and also the sense of like pleasure in a way, whereby like I'm glad that I help you make a purchase decision. Ultimately, that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
So instead of me giving you as a friend, say, hey, bro, what phone you want to get, I'm doing this for a global audience, whereby I'm helping them, because ultimately we do these reviews, and I'm not the only one. I'm sure other reviewers also do this, whereby ultimately tech reviews are to help people make a purchase decision.
Of course, yeah.
And people have commented to say that I'm so glad that I came into your video, because I was just thinking between getting this phone and another phone, and I just realized that this was an answer to what my priorities were. So to keep in proper context, like if it's true that sometimes, like if it's just below 2,000 ringgit, you have the Realmes, you have the Pocos, you have even the Xiaomis or the Redmis, but each phone has its own strength. Like for example, an Oppo phone is really amazing when it comes to cameras, but maybe playing heavy games like Genshin Impact, not the best. You can play it at low settings. And then you have some phones maybe from Poco, whereby the cameras, for the rear cameras is amazing, but the front camera is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? But it's a very good gaming phone. So when I create these videos, I cover every aspect to help people make a purchase decision on that. If like, hey, I hardly take selfies, I don't need selfie, I want to game more. However, like maybe an Oppo phone, you have amazing selfies. Rear camera is amazing, but it's not a gaming phone.
Yeah.
I hardly play games unless I'm doing a review. So I would maybe, go towards the direction of getting an Oppo phone compared to a Poco phone if I have to go through. So ultimately, that is my task, right? It's what I serve the audience is to help them make a purchase decision. So yes, it is, and it gives me the sense of satisfaction that I always help people make a purchase decision. I still do get those comments, and it feels better than anything.
Oh, that's
when
good.
people comment about that. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned about people commenting on the videos. Now I remember one of the first videos I watched of you was a few years ago. I remember I told you it was for the Time Internet, but but it wasn't. It was my AirPods. One was dying faster than the other, so I didn't know. I was pissed off at Apple, even though I'm a very hardcore Apple. I was like, fuck, I'm not buying AirPods because these fuckers, can't make it right. So like, and nothing was releasing, or they had released year one. That review, it was nothing year one. And in there, in the comment section, there were few like very nasty comments, and I remember you replied to them.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago. Do you still do that,
I,
or
I,
have you?
I mean, the nasty comments, as a human, as much as we always say that, just don't bother about it. But sometimes I guess that it's the situation or the mood that I was in. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to reply to this. I try my best not to on the negative comments, especially. But sometimes I just feel like I want to. But I'm not aiming for something in return. It's more like I just want to say what I want to say. Sometimes it can be very hurtful, those comments, but I have learned to just let it go. But yeah, sometimes I do review. For context, for those of you who did not watch the video, nothing has a very huge following, right? Because it came from the CEO
OnePlus,
Carpe.
You met him.
Yeah, I met him.
Right.
That's where I met you also during the event. And OnePlus has a huge following, especially in India. Thankfully, all those nasty comments does not come from Malaysians. It's always the international audience, like either from India or sometimes from the US. And it's always when I say bad things or I be very critical over a brand that they like. So for example, when I got a Nothing Ear One, it was horrendous.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, and it was not only horrendous for me. A couple of people were, but they were not tech reviewers. So I did a thing called "Don't Buy the Nothing Ear Ones," and everybody was like, "Oh, you have cauliflower ears and stuff like that." And the video did well in terms of views, but of course in a not good way because it's negative review about that. And I had a very high hope because I am a fan of what Carpe did in when he was at OnePlus, right? So people were very nasty about it because they said that something's wrong with your ears because mine is fine, right? That could be the case, but what I'm trying to say is that it's fine for you, but it does not mean it's fine for me, right? And to be fair, that batch of the earbuds I got was when Nothing sent a bunch of stuff to Unbox Therapy. And then he did a giveaway. So this is how I got it. A lot of people don't understand the context. I got my hands on the Nothing Ear One because a subscriber messaged me on Instagram. He said, "Hey bro, I've got the Nothing Ear Ones. Are you interested to review it since it's not here in Malaysia? Because I want it from Liu from Unbox Therapy." I said, "Cool, that sounds good. Yeah, I would love to." So I think I forgot where exactly I went. So I met up with him. I said, "Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it." Then he was like, "Can I take a picture? I'm so glad that I met you, and I just want to review it." And he wanted to give it to me. I said, "No, I just want to review it. I'm going to pass it back to you. Once it comes, the retail version comes to Malaysia, because we do not know whether Nothing's going to have."
And they had a very weird drop thing.
Exactly.
I don't agree with it, but that's how
that's how they've been doing it. So I was like, maybe when the retail comes, I will do it. I really did not do it. And I asked the subscriber, right? And he was like, I was actually very disappointed. I'm like, what? But everybody's saying good stuff about it. I said, you know what? I'm not going to influence what you say, but here it is. So he gave it to me. And when I heard it, I'm like, what is this? So I needed to tell people to don't buy it. Why don't buy it? It's not because it's just plain right bad, but maybe now it's not the best time to buy it because it's a new product. It's the
first
generation and the first product from Nothing. So waited a while, and it was true. When I did a follow-up video,
the black one,
one, it was way better.
Yeah.
Software updates, and it was not rushed.
Yeah.
So it was way better. And when I did that video, the comments were maybe about 90% positive, but the 10% comments probably came from the people watching the first video and were like, "Oh, so the YouTuber finally got a review unit." I clearly mentioned that it was bought.
these are all keyboard warriors, and
It's cool. It's cool.
you know,
I'm okay with
I watch another episode. It's like some political shit, and especially if you're talking about politics, you get a lot of hate comments because if you're talking about one political party bad, all the followers will you fucker,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And so this guy, he said he has met those people who has like even giving him death threats on YouTube videos,
Hmm.
and then they at an event they come and say, "Can I take a selfie?" Like, what the fuck? Like, doesn't add up, right?
Yeah.
So these are all keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
I think we should not worry about them. About nothing. So I paid for it. I paid for mine, and mine split. First one, and then the other. So I super glued it because I was like, "Fuck!" I paid. Warranty was over. Then the other one split, and I tweeted to Kawa, no response. But when I tweeted him the picture from the event, he liked it straight away. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's as you said, it was first gen. Of course, it's gonna be have some faults. I haven't bought anything from nothing yet. Nothing that I've against it. It's just those are working still fine. I just super glued it and it's
Wow,
working
this
fine.
is the first ever unit.
I'll show you. They're
Wow.
still in my bag. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll show you. You only feel it because it's see-through plastic, right? So
Yes.
you can't see the.
Yeah, because when they made a product, it's transparent, right? So
Yeah.
they can't use your regular super glue because you'll have that, that they're weird clouding.
yeah, exactly.
So it's the first time I'm actually hearing about this. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a tech product. It will never be 100%, right?
Yeah.
You will never find 100% satisfied customers.
Yeah.
You can't keep everyone happy. That's
Yeah.
what I've learned as well,
Yeah.
dealing with customers. So okay, now the thing about I'm sure you have some sort of line you draw. Okay, I will not review this product, or this is my red line. I will not cross that. The ethics, the morality of it. How seriously do you take it? Is there if you want to, you can name any company you want, that this company is evil, I'm not reviewing their product, or and how do you deal with that? Because there might be a really good product in the market, everyone is talking about it, videos are going viral, but then you say, shit, should I? It could be really good content for my channel, for me, but then I have my limits as well. Has there been a situation like that?
Yeah, of course. Being here for 8 years plus, and I mean, moving forward, there were brands who came up to me and tell me to take down a video because I talked about a negative point about the phone. And I'm like, so whenever I be critical over certain things, 95% of the time, I will come up with a solution which I can think of. So like, for example, maybe when you use your in-display fingerprint sensor, if it's slower, it's probably not a hardware thing, it's probably a software thing. So I would say, hopefully a software update can fix this, right? Responsiveness for the screen. I don't think it's physicality, it has to do with the software. So it was in relation to a fingerprint scanner. It was slow, and I did mention very liberally, say that, hopefully a software update could have this, and I showed how slow it was. It was already down because it was a review unit. It was not even a paid content. Because
This review unit, sorry, I'm cutting you off. The review unit, that means I'm giving you a unit to review and then you return back.
Yes, correct.
Is there a certain time limit you're supposed to use and review, or is just I'll give it to you today? I expect a review or not expect, like please do within 2 days, because 2 days or 3 days are not enough.
So I always tell the brands, I don't know about other tech reviewers, but I always tell the brands that I need at least for 2 weeks.
Okay.
1 week to test it, script it, and then 1 week to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always 2 weeks. So when I return back to the brand and put it online, they were not happy about that part where I mentioned the fingerprint sensor is slow, and asked me whether I could take it down and edit that part off. But I was like, but it's the truth. And I already uploaded, and it's something whereby like I feel like it should be mentioned. And they said, oh, so you can't take it down? I said, no, I can't take it down. And if you're going to be very critical over what I'm going to review, then in the future I won't review. So that was one case. Another case is, I'm sure you know, and I've told this to a lot of friends and even another podcast before this. about how certain brands are marketing their phones in a very weird way. And when I realized this, I immediately is like, no more.
Okay.
So there is two brands which have been marketing their phone to be very durable, more than talking about the phone's features. Well, when they market that, when a brand approached me and they say that, hey, we've got this phone, it can break coconuts, it can break durian. Are you interested to review the phone? You say, yeah, I would love to review the phone because I want to know, besides your whatever mention, I want to know how is it as a phone, right? So, oh no, if I'm going to give you the phone, you're going to only specifically talk about how robust and durable they can break. Can you do like a drop test? Yes, I know, good question. Like I said, yes, it may create viral content, but that's not why I quit my job.
Passion.
Yeah,
What-
because, and if I were to come up, because it also comes down to my audience and the type of the type of platform. Like maybe that will work on TikTok, but my YouTube audience is my number one core.
Of course.
If I'm just gonna create, hey guys, this is this phone and it can break durians and here's a drop test. Even though it garners the views, but as a creator, I won't have that sort of satisfaction that I did a good job reviewing it. So when the brand said that, I immediately said that, then you know what, you can keep your phone, I'm not going to review it. So yeah, there were cases like that whereby, although yes, I know that if I'm going to do a video, it's going to go viral because people like to see people break things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
But again, it comes down to what my original reason to do this YouTube channel was, is to do something which I love and something that I believe in, right? And something that I have my whole passion, and whether or not it gets the views or not, I can look at it again and go like, yeah, I put a lot of effort and time there. Even though it may not appear or appeal for the masses as much, but as long as it helps people make a purchase decision where every single part is covered, I'm happy. So yeah, there were situations like that where I just said no, and it's happened many times. And that's one of the reasons why I don't review every single product, besides the time, but also because some certain brands are like that too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want to talk a little bit about the tech, the phones.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Apple. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a Apple user. I'm an Apple user, and I'm very critical of them as well at times. Now, from what I can see, there was a time where every time there was WWDC, I would stay up no matter where I am. I had to watch it because I knew that something amazing will be revealed. But now, okay, time is one issue. It's at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. here. But I know last couple of years, I know there's nothing going to be which is going to blow me away. I don't want another fucking emoji in iMessage or, it's like, where is it going? Like a company like Apple, I'm not talking about hardware. Hardware, of course, is the same black brick we have for years. They can only, now I say Apple's iPhones are, you are buying a camera with phone features, because in a keynote, if it's 1 hour 45 minutes, Apple spends on how brilliant the camera is. The other, you might not agree with me, but that's how what I feel as a user. But so where do you think it's heading? Is innovation not as fast as, or maybe is it because so much happened in the last 10 years that that's what we expect, that it should be at that pace, but it's not, so we are so disappointed, like fuck, nothing happening.
Again,
You get my point, right?
I get your point.
Yeah.
So I have a very good answer for that. And again, I'm not saying this to be on Apple's side or anybody's side, and neither I don't have any like reason for me to represent the brand, and I cannot represent the brand. These exact frustrations were something whereby I did feel, not now, it's like probably maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. But when you slowly understand the industry, you understand where Apple has positioned themselves now. There's different eras. There's a Steve Jobs era, and right now with Tim Cook. I think a lot of people, including you, no disrespect, needs to understand that Apple's position has always now not been about innovation anymore. It's about creating something better than anybody has done before. I'll give you a very clear example, and it happens now, and I did review some comments. I stay up for WWDC, and yes, there were certain things that probably is not appealing for us, like Memoji, for example, but it could be appealing for most of their users. Because, like, for example, like, instead of them typing, I'm going to go for a barbecue, and maybe the person has a nickname, he's a crocodile. So crocodile creating barbecue. So that context may not be appealing for people like you and I, but it may be appealing for the users. But I'm not going to use that as an example. I'm going to give you a very clear example whereby Apple was not the first, but I believe, based on what they show in the keynote, will do a way better job than other brands.
It's always the case. Apple is never the first, right?
Exactly. So
but they do
when
the
during
best.
Steve Jobs' time, that is what his priorities were: being the first, being innovative. But like I said, I had this frustration that you had like long time ago, like 5-6 years ago, and then I realized, this is the Apple way now. Again, I'm not representing Apple saying this, but it is a general knowledge where all tech reviewers and people are slowly understanding. They got this iPhone mirroring thing. They're not the first one. Huawei has done it. Xiaomi's done it.
Windows.
I've covered. Windows also has it, and I've covered all, especially for Huawei, right? So Huawei has this thing called multi-screen collaboration. They had the same thing, but there are a lot of things that, even though I never had my hands on, because I don't really review the developer beta and all, I always get the exact one because I like to review the ones where people already have it, so that there's no bugs and stuff like that, because it tends to happen. So I don't like to do that. But based on their keynote presentation, knowing the fact that you are using it and you're using the iPhone mirroring on your Mac, you can get notification. And what's amazing is the fact that your phone is locked, which means that you don't have to worry about losing your battery while using the multi-screen collaboration. And imagine, like for me, I have a Mac Studio connected to 3 screens, like for me to do my video editing. Thank you.
Yeah.
So imagine how, like, one of my screens is my iPhone screen. And later on, when I do my video editing on Final Cut Pro, because I do my video editing on Final Cut Pro, I've done my reel, instead of doing ad drop, I can just literally click and drag and put it into there. That to me, again, screams Apple's perfectionism compared to a lot of other similar feature out there. That for me is a mind-blowing thing. As for your point of how whenever Apple does an iPhone presentation, it all comes down to how good the cameras are.
This is the hardware part,
so
right?
This is the hardware part.
Where's the innovation
So
going?
for innovation, let's talk about innovation again. Like, for example, like Apple came out with the Apple Intelligence, right?
Yeah, that was one of the topics I wanted.
So Apple came out with the Apple Intelligence. I think it's amazing that it took them this much of time because everything is on device. Because, like, for example, a new and improved Siri, doing this kind of things like I actually had this idea of a video which I wanted to do, whereby, like, I want to tell the world that Apple is actually saving all of us money. Sounds unbelievable, right? I'll give you a clear context.
Which is the opposite of what usually happens.
Yeah. So I know it may become like good views for me, but this is what I've been telling my team. So Apple came out with this thing called the Passwords app.
Yes.
That is similar to 1Password. 1Password, you need to pay a subscription.
Yeah, whatever, $3-4
So again, so that is one way where Apple is telling, hey, you use our device, you get this for free. And you can even export CSV from the 1Password app or whatever app and put it into the Apple 1Password app, the Apple Passwords app, and it's sorted.
It's going to be for Windows as well, for Windows iCloud users.
Yes, exactly. So my point is that they're already saving money from that perspective. There's also another app which I currently use. I forgot what it's called, whereby, because I have 3 screens, so I need an easy window arrangement where I just go, it snaps magnetically.
Yes.
The new Mac OS Sequoia is going to do that. So I'm going to save money in paying that app. Because remember that this kind of apps whereby you get it is per Mac. So like I have it on my Mac Studio, but I don't have it on my MacBook Air or my MacBook Pro. So all of these features, all these software features or all these intelligence features. So I use Grammarly. Grammarly is a paid subscription where it sounds professional. And also with Apple Intelligence, everything is built in. So I don't have to subscribe to Grammarly anymore. because they have the professional, make this sound professional, stuff like that. And I love the fact that they have known their limitation, hence why they tie in with OpenAI, with ChatGPT, to know that certain things that they know they cannot do on device, they will ask us as users all the time. I think this is something that ChatGPT can help with. Are you okay to share this photo with ChatGPT? That for me is innovation on where they know they can handle it, instead of calling it all theirs and having certain limitations to it. So that's where I feel like when a lot of people say there's not much innovation, maybe innovation, no, but they have made things which is readily available for people, but have perfected to the point that it is today.
But okay, having mentioned Apple Intelligence, so this feature, now my little bit beef with Apple on this would be that someone who's using an iPhone, say 18 or 14, which is really good device even today, you can use it for another couple of years, maybe 3 years, Apple 14, let's say. But they won't be able to use Apple Intelligence for that, right? It's exclusive to 15 Pro, if I'm not
Yep.
wrong. Not even 15,
Yep.
15 Pro.
Correct.
But so that's another way of forcing people to spend money, because it's statistically proven that people are not upgrading their phones as often as they used to 5-6 years ago, because they're lasting for long. So now they're being forced to, oh, you want this, you have to spend another thousands of ringgits, not hundreds.
Yep.
So that's why I think Apple then says, oh, it's the hardware feature because everything is being processed on device. But Apple iPhone 15 has the same processor as 15 Pro, right?
No.
Okay.
There's
But
not.
but but
Yeah, it
but
does
th-
not.
but that
That's the reason why.
but that processor, do you think technically cannot handle that, or do you
Again,
think
I
Apple
get-
is being Apple again, where it's kind of forcing you?
Okay, not only that chip which I mentioned in the phone, but I also mentioned that the M series chip can. So I believe, although they did mention it, but I think it's unfair for us to immediately assume that, oh, it's Apple being Apple, because they don't want you to use it on the older devices. Because if Apple wants to really be that kind of people, why do they provide software support all the way back to iPhone 11 now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So this new iOS can go all the way back to iPhone 11. Still the best in the industry, even compared to Android, right? Only now slowly Android is like, oh, instead of 4 years updates, I'm going to go all the way. Like Google just announced that. I know, because you see, Apple is the kind of people who, again, I'm not representing, but I understand. I used to be in
this
your
video
shoes.
is not sponsored. Yeah.
Not sponsored.
I wish it was.
But you know why I'm saying this to everyone here who's listening and for you is because I was in your position before. I
But
had
I'm
the
a
same.
consumer. I'm a
Yes,
user,
yeah, so
right?
I had the same thing, but when I dive in and study a little more, that's when I was like, oh, so clear example. When I review certain Android phones, it can perform very well on Genshin Impact or maybe PUBG Mobile, higher settings. But even though you can go higher settings, but the device becomes very warm. Still playable. But what I notice about Apple devices is that if there is some sort of, like, if it's going over how it's supposed to do, Apple won't allow it, because they just do not want the users to have an experience which slows down the exact device. So probably it can, I do not know because I don't work for the engineers, probably it can be used on the 15 or the 14s and the 13, but the response may be slower. So what happens that if they introduce those features, you know what the people's going to say? Ah, it's so slow. So when you use it on a Pro series or an M chip, for example, it's seamless. And when it's seamless, everybody's going to say, wow, it's seamless. But remember, it takes one rotten apple, pun intended, for if you put it on the 14 or if you put it on the 15, it may not respond as fast. Rabbit R1.
Yes.
Remember how long it takes? Because they were like, oh, it works, but you need to wait for 10 hours. So imagine if it still could work on the 14 or on the 15, but the response is not as fast as the 15. Do you think that a regular consumer is going to go like, yeah, I understand because this chipset is not as powerful? No, they're just going to say that it's so slow. That's why I think why it's not available. It's not to say that it cannot run. It may not run as fast as how it would go on the Pro and the M series chip. That's how I feel as a tech guy. I know that's what they're doing, because again, if it can run on the 14 and the 15, it probably can, because the Bionic chipset is very powerful.
Yes.
But it may not be as fast and seamless and quick, because remember, these are all on device.
Yes, it's
they're
all
not relying on
nothing-
hardware. They're not relying on cloud. So probably it is slower to response, and that's the reason why they say, you know what? Let's not take the risk to have a bad user experience. Let's just stick to the Pro series and also the M chip.
Yeah. So okay. I
You got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, but again, being a consumer, not everyone will watch this video. Not everyone is that.
I hope you all watch
Yeah,
this
I
video and
hope.
share.
But like our generation, they're not that tech savvy. I mean, a little bit, but a little bit older than us. They're like, what, this shit is not working. Apple is taking so much money.
Yeah.
So they won't
Yeah.
sit down and understand that's where the frustration comes from, and that's where I was using iPhone 10 until now as well. So
I did a revisit on the iPhone.
Yeah,
10
so-
too. Yeah, and
the
I think
products
that's why.
are amazing.
Yeah.
My MacBook is 2012 Retina, late the first 13-inch
Yeah.
Retina. I'm still using it.
I'm glad.
That's my.
Yeah,
that's my hit.
I'm a huge user. I mean, I've been
And
using Mac
it's
for a long
like
time.
this is the 14th year now.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
imagine. Can you
Yeah.
name one Windows computer which you can use
Yeah.
after 14 years?
Yeah.
The only thing is the battery. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with Apple. It's just
Yeah.
that's how lithium-ion batteries are. They just die. Even now, after that many years, it can still last me more than an hour,
Yep.
which is okay, right?
I mean, that's why I feel that more people should watch this video, because not only because of you, is for them to get educated on that point, which I
Yeah.
just mentioned, right? Because there's a reason why they do this. Since people may think that I'm sponsored by Apple or whatever, not, I will go to a very good example with Samsung, for example. Samsung has Galaxy AI. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Samsung has Galaxy AI, and I did a video whereby I did Galaxy AI versus ChatGPT, Galaxy AI versus Adobe Photoshop. I did a video on that. So just so you all know, I cover everything other than Apple. And while certain commands cannot be as fast cannot be as good as Adobe Photoshop, for example, because Adobe Photoshop is very slow. And again, Adobe Photoshop, you need a laptop, you
Yes.
need a Windows, you need a Mac to use it. But remember that this is all on device. Going back to Galaxy AI, Samsung has just announced that they have Galaxy AI available not only for the S24 series, S23,
Okay. Previous
S22,
generation.
no. Again, it comes down to this, because probably the guys from Samsung knew that, oh, look, Galaxy AI may respond on this Exynos chipset, on this Snapdragon chipset, but I don't think that we can go all the way back to S22. Not because Samsung wants to make people spend money on their phones. It could be again based on the responsiveness of Galaxy AI working better only up to the S23 series and their latest S24 Ultra series, and of course their Fold and the Flip series as well. So I don't think that it's only happening in Apple. It is also something where other brands like Samsung is doing it as well. Google has the eraser thing for the longest time, right?
Yeah.
Now every brands are doing it, and they're coming and doing a better job, because the AI models then and the AI models now is so much more advanced. But again, because Google Pixel always had their own so-called chip with their own kind of image processing. The Google Pixel 2 XL was the mind-blowing thing, right? So what is this crazy portrait mode? And it's all with one camera. How can you come up with a portrait camera with just a single camera? Image processing and also what the chip can do. So every company, maybe from a consumer's perspective, you're thinking, these people want to make money. Yeah, that's the best way to get your negativity out there,
Yeah.
right? But like I said, when you dive in deeper, when you do more research, you can kind of understand where these tech companies are coming from. And yeah, maybe their long term also could be that, I can sell my newer devices more. But if you look on the other side of the coin, being in the tech company's shoes, I can kind of understand why is it that way. Yes, as a user, we're frustrated about it. It's like, why can't you have on my phone? I had this, I spend my own money. I'm not going to go. But again, going back into Apple's situation whereby, like you say, that iPhone 15 Pro. But remember, there's this one guy who switched from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 15 Pro. He's like, yes!
Yeah.
But there's another guy who just switched from the iPhone
14.
8
Oh,
to the iPhone 14. And it's like, oh no! So is the oh no is the one which will overpower the ones who is actually very grateful. So
Yeah.
it's a very subjective thing if you have to look at it. And you have to, like I said, as a user, I understand the frustration. But when you dive in deeper and if you really understand how technology works, that's where we need like your channel and other people to understand why is this happening in our world. Yeah.
So we are talking about AI.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence or Apple intelligence, how Apple would put it, right? Because they have to do everything their way. Okay, it's the same thing, right? Tomato, tomato. So now, having announced Apple intelligence in their new phones and the new software, don't you think? I honestly didn't think companies like Rabbit and human AI,
Human pin, yeah,
human pin.
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Okay.
Don't you think Apple has whatever little hope these two companies had? Apple just killed them, because the reason I'm saying it, what I recently heard and it amazed me, that AI is not a product, it's a service. You know who else said it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So which makes a ton of sense. It's not a product, it's a service, right? So what's your take on that?
I totally agree, and I'm sure you are actually quoting what Marcus Brownlee mentioned about that. He's right, because let's go back to the Google Pixel, like I said. Having the AI eraser and stuff is something which they had the longest time. It was never a thing on its own. And people gave a lot of slack about, Marcus Brownlee is trying to shut down companies. He's not. And I am really with him on this, because what's the point that you come up with a physical device which has AI when your phone can do it?
Yeah.
And what are the chances of, I don't know how even Marcus Brownlee does it, but a lot of people also does it, carry two phones with them. I cannot carry two
You
phones
cannot,
with
yeah.
me.
I had to
So
do
like,
it.
I don't know how people
yeah.
I carry one Android. A lot of tech reviews. I did that for like a couple of months, and I cannot,
I used to do it for work, but hated it.
So I want to understand. So here's what, remember I said, try to understand the tech creators or the tech brands. But I honestly cannot understand what is this Rabbit R1 and this human. I mean, what they're trying to do here. I mean, like, you are trying to disrupt something which is, that it cannot go away from. People are going to carry their phones no matter what.
They're trying to kill a solution, solve a problem which doesn't exist, right?
Because you see, why we transition from a laptop to our phones is because that is a problem. People cannot keep their laptop in a pocket. I brought my bag here. If I didn't bring my laptop, I wouldn't even bring a bag. So knowing the fact that we can do more stuff on the phone or even an iPad, or on a tablet, it makes things more convenient for us. So if you're going to go out there and say that, we came up with this product which is specifically AI based, it needs to be better than what is already working well, which is our smartphone. If our smartphone is still doing stuff and getting response faster than the Rabbit R1, why does this product even exist? And this is where I cannot understand, because if it's going to respond so slow, why do you even release this product? Knowing the fact that there's tons of things which goes way much faster. Let's not talk about ChatGPT. Let's not talk about Siri. Let's not talk about Amazon Echo, Alexa, and stuff like that. Let's talk about overall responsiveness. If it's going to take so long to just get a typical answer, and if you're going to have touchscreen options and then like certain places, I never got my hands on it. I was watching videos from my MKBHD, and I'm a huge like huge fan of what Dave Toody, met him also
Yeah.
twice.
Oh, wow.
How he does his reviews is amazing.
Yes, I love that,
And I love his storytelling style. And he pointed out about how, like, okay, so this part has touchscreen, but this part there's no touchscreen. Why? Why are you making people in the like of? I like to tell this to our Malaysian friends is that instead of eating like this, you make them eat like that.
Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
So it's not the MKBHDs of the world are making them bankrupt. It's not Apple making them bankrupt. Apple is just improving what is already working. See, like for example, let's talk about the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro is, you notice how when they released it, they never market it as a gaming device. Not like what Pico or Meta has been doing.
Yeah.
Pico and Meta is like, oh, this, you can play these games, you can play these virtual reality games and stuff like that. Because the Apple Vision Pro was catered towards the people who wanted to have a different experience on an AR experience in a very different way. When they release a product, they're not going to say that, yeah, we are better and we are going to make Meta Quest bankrupt or Pico bankrupt, for example. For all you know, Pico is going to come up with leg movements. So if it happens, means, I said it first. For all you know, right? Which is more advanced than what Apple Vision Pro can do. But is that going to mean that people are going to stop buying Meta Quest and stop buying the Apple Vision Pro because now the Pico can do that? No. Again, it all comes down to understanding what the tech brands are going behind this. Are they looking for a quick buck, just trying to come into the market, try to have something which does not work specifically? Because you said yourself, because if it's going to be something whereby you create a service that is supposed to improve what is out there, then yes. But if you're creating something which is out of the ordinary, which is great, but it does not work to satisfy us as users, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, to be honest, these companies raise millions of dollars. How? I mean, I don't know. I need to learn from them because I can't fucking raise money for my startup. So I don't know. I think by end of next year we would have probably forgotten about this Rabbit R1 and Humane Pin. Because honestly, as you said, I don't see the point of this thing like on my hand. I mean,
it's a separate device. Buddy.
It's a separate. Why do we need?
And that's why when Marcus said that about how that AI has always been a feature. The remove reflections thing. Huawei has that for the longest time. Huawei has always been a very innovative company, and I still do a lot of reviews of their stuff, even though it's not available globally. Like their Huawei phones, their Huawei tablets. Huawei tablet was the first to come up with the matte display.
Yes.
Before Apple came up with their iPad Pro with the matte display. Again, they're doing something which makes the user convenient, right? So you don't have to deal with glare anymore. You don't have to worry about when you use the pencil, you don't have to worry about it being very not paper-like. There were companies which created, like I think there's a company called Papermate, whereby they came up with just a screen protector to put it over.
It was called Paper-like.
Yeah, Paper-like, exactly. Yeah, Papermate. Yeah, it's called Paper-like. So they were, but so these companies came out with that, not to kill brands like that, but more like to make it easier for people to go and buy it. Because as much as I knew that there were companies like that, but I never go out there and buy it. But if it's going to be shipped together with the product, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it now.
Might as well give it a shot. Yeah.
So, I totally echo what you said. I don't know how they raise millions and they come out with a product like this, not thinking that it's unfinished. If it's finished, fine. Or if it responds. I was reading Stephen Bartlett. I'm a huge fan of his work when he does his podcast and stuff. His second book, The Diary of the CEO, one of his topics that he talked about how sometimes this service makes the user happier. And I didn't get it. Then he explained, and I understand that from a Malaysian context. You know how you go for a hot pot? Technically, you're cooking your own food.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if you come up with this concept to say that I'm going to create a restaurant where I just put a pot there and a soup and people are going to cook their own food, people will give you a slap. What's wrong with you?
You have a kitchen at home for that, right?
But you know what is the problem here? The problem here is that, like, The solution that is creating is that you reduce wait times, because while you're waiting for your food, you're cooking the food and you're having interaction with friends, and it is an engagement thing that is happening.
And the experience,
An
right?
experience. Whether or not that is supposed to be the fact, it does not matter. It reduces wait times, which reduces the customer's wait time. So when you release a product like rabbit and human pain, which increases the wait time for them to just get a simple command done, it's immediately a no-go.
Yeah. And another thing is, quoting him again, you cannot sell a product on future updates,
Yeah.
right? If you can't say, buy my phone, and 6 months down the road, you will be able to send a text message. It won't fucking work,
Yeah.
which a lot of companies are now doing.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah. So it won't work, and especially for a product which doesn't have any need for it. I mean, it's I don't get these AI.
Yeah, companies are,
products.
that I don't agree when company does.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on a company site now, because I don't like the idea of, I honestly don't like the idea of that later on, because when it's later on, sometimes we forget, oh yeah, this is coming now. So that is something which I don't agree with tech brands. I don't like the idea, why don't it's available now? Why is it later on in the summer or later on in spring? Why can't it be available now? That I agree with you. I don't agree. And why do you say that you buy it now, 4 months down the road, you'll get this particular update? Put it now. But again, it's their own strategy.
Yeah.
That is something which I don't personally agree. So yeah.
Okay, of all the companies you deal with, the phone companies, the TV companies, which one is the best to deal with? Like, as a which one has the best experience, like the human interaction?
Here's where I can give you a very plain and simple answer. I don't deal with the brands directly.
Okay.
It is always usually going through an agency in Malaysia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so although I know of who is working at Samsung, for example, we don't like directly talk to them.
And why is that?
Because in Malaysia, I don't know about other countries, they have like these agencies who will talk to the creators like us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's unfair for me to say that which brand I have the best relationship, and there's no point for me telling people about agencies, because they don't work with agencies. So whoever I'm working with currently right now, it's people that I am totally fine. So as long as you see the brands that I cover right now, it's amazing. Yeah. So I cannot single out anybody who's doing bad or who's not doing good, but if you see the brands that I don't review, then
Okay.
you immediately will know.
Yeah.
But the ones which I'm working with, I have a good relationship with all of them. Not directly, because this, I think, is a good question, so people understand how is it to be a tech reviewer in Malaysia.
because
you don't go directly to them. You go through agencies.
Yeah. Okay. So good that you mentioned that. How is it to be a tech reviewer? So anyone who's thinking of starting this, what's your recommendation? Because there are like thousands, tens of thousands of tech reviewers. You go, you just say, write iPhone 15 review. You'll get probably 10,000 different reviewers, right?
Yeah.
So what do they need to make it? Like, what do they need?
Make it, meaning that means to work with the brands and work to get the products and stuff.
And become what they want to, because in a ocean of tech reviewers, what makes you stand out?
I think
it's not an overnight thing.
Okay,
yes,
what makes you stand out is that for us, Adam Lobo TV, what made us stand out then, and probably to a certain point now still, is the fact that we always had the quality of the video. So we always had like quality over quantity. I emphasize on quality because I've always been a fan of Jonathan Morrison, TLD Today, who also influenced MKBHD, in case you didn't know.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, so TLD Today, Jonathan Morrison.
Yeah.
MKBHD saw his videos and was like, what the hell is this? and he got influenced by
Oh.
using the high quality cameras and stuff.
What a shame that guy is not well. He
Yeah,
released
yeah.
a video
Yeah,
a few
yeah, yeah.
days
So
ago.
I actually did the whole donation thing and all.
Okay, I didn't watch it because it's a
I
lot.
watched
I was
it.
like,
Yeah, I watched it because he was the guy who inspired me to be a YouTuber,
Ah,
and I made it known to him, and he replied to me.
Wow.
Never met him before, because I watched his video when I was working in Astro. I'm like, oh my god, we are creating tech videos like this now. He was the one, not MTBHD.
Okay.
No disrespect.
okay.
It was him who influenced me to become a tech reviewer, and when I saw his video, so that's why I guess people relate to me to be the Malaysian MTBHD because of the quality, but have your own specialty. So like our specialty has always been the quality videos. I shoot everything in 6K resolution because I'm a huge fan of Blackmagic cameras, and also my way of reviewing has never been about benchmark tests. So like like people review and they do battery drain tests.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
So then they go like, oh, we put this one is battery drain test. This one, I always do a user experience test. When I talk about battery, I literally take my SIM card, I put it in the phone, and I use the phone
like a normal
like
day,
a normal
right?
person. But the difference is that, which I always tell people, and I hope you don't do too, do not transfer all your apps from your older phone to a new phone. Always start from scratch, because there's going to be cache, there's going to be some things which is going to slow down your brand new phone. So always start from scratch, right? So whenever I review a phone, I will start from scratch, take my SIM card, put it in. How is the call quality? How is the reception? Do I get any cut off? Does have people having problem with me? Because in the end of the day, it's still a phone.
Yeah.
So I guess that is what makes us unique compared to other people. Nowadays, the quality sadly is dropping from people. People are just using the phone and this, which is fine, but something which I cannot do. Standing out is very important, because you're right, there's lots of them. But if you're going to advise, like even nothing phone, right? Even nothing earbuds and all, it still went through an agency.
Yeah.
So if you're starting here in Malaysia, the best thing I would say is that try to find out who are the agencies who are working with this brand. Probably you can find it through word of mouth, or you can even maybe like one or two of the events, you just show up and say, hey, I am a tech enthusiast, I would like to review the phone. They will have their own body, and that's how you can start things moving forward. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't gonna ask this question, but I saw you wearing Ultra and a loop band.
Oh, I'm glad you know.
So why that? Why not only that? Why not only this? Why both?
Okay, very good question. I'm glad you asked, because I always tell people who have no idea, right?
Can you
I
show?
think that so this is the loop band.
No screen,
no
nothing.
screen, nothing. So until recently, because now the Watch OS, here's where they
Is
might be
this
saving.
officially being sold in Malaysia?
No, it's not.
Still? Okay.
So I got intrigued with this device because of one measurement which I only knew about the importance of it probably a year ago, which is HRV. Without sounding too scientific, HRV means heart rate variability.
Okay.
And among all the things, to measure how well you recovered, you need to get the best HRV every single day. The Apple Watch never had a way to measure your HRV, but it has always been my companion for me wherever the Apple Watch. A lot of people say, I don't know how you do it, but I sleep with the Apple Watch. When I got this, I just wanted to compare what is already available with the Apple Watch. So there's this app called Athletic, a paid subscription.
Okay.
Also has measurements of HRV, how much sleep that you have, and all which what this one does. And then there's this. And I'm in the midst, so there's no spoiler mainly, but I can give a slight spoiler alert that in terms of getting your HRV and getting your real in-depth stats of strain, this seems to be better than this. My intention to also use this is so that maybe sometimes I want to wear a dress watch. I don't want to wear a smart watch. But I eventually found that these two together is the best combination in the world.
Okay.
Because of, I like how I can get my notification over here, And sometimes when I work out, or if I feel like I don't need a screen, I can just take it out. I still have this. So this two works hand in hand. When I do a workout here, it's still like measured here because the app talks to each other.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I use both. I did have the intention to not wear this to sleep anymore, but
You used to it
yeah,
now.
I'm used to it to a point whereby, like, I mean, I'll put to sleep when I go to sleep.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll be like, use my nose. Oh, I know what time it is because I
Okay.
can't set.
Yeah, of
can't
course,
see
of
the time over here. Another reason why I was trying the Whoop band is because it became a bit more well known by a lot of athletes out in the world,
Yeah.
like Michael Phelps. About a week ago, I just accidentally came up with a podcast between the Whoop owner and the founder and Cristiano Ronaldo is now endorsing this. And I told my girlfriend, I said, baby, I think I better get this for you before the price is going to go up.
Yes.
Because it's Cristiano
Yeah,
Ronaldo.
of course, if that happens.
In terms of measurements and in terms of how the app is, this is hands down the best fitness tracker that I ever owned, right? Fitness tracker wise. Again, with the new iOS, I mean the Watch OS update, apparently there's going to be a way to track your strain.
Oh, okay.
Similar like this. So I can't wait for that to come out. I can probably do a comparison between this and this. I like the idea that, because I always like to wear something over here.
Yeah.
I didn't want to wear like the jewelry something, but I like the idea of having something here. So, and knowing the fact that it has a very good app, and I had to take, when I got it on Amazon, shipped it over here in Malaysia, and I had to use VPN to register it because you cannot register as a
if you're
Malaysian
not
account.
okay.
Because it works in the UK and it works in US. So why I have the both of it is that my main intention was just to use this and use it first, but I realized that combining it's the best combination for me to know my fitness levels.
Are you going to do a review of this on your channel, or
I might.
You might.
But I want to use it longer in order
Okay.
for me. So like instead of it being like a 2-week review, I've been using this since late February, March. So March, April, May, June. Maybe I'll go like a 6 months after 6 months, because I realized that people like this long-term videos, long-term review videos.
Because that's a real review, right?
Exactly.
Day in, day out.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to use this for 6 months because now it's not yet 6 months, and then I will give the thoughts on 2 situations using an app like Athletic, which is tied in using your Apple Watch, and also with the new Watch OS update, and to see which is better. Each product has its own strengths. I just feel like another reason why I cannot live without the Apple Watch is because as a Mac user, like you can unlock the Mac,
that's the thing.
And you know, like even you're wearing a mask, you can,
Apple Garden, right?
Yes, it's Apple Garden. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I still, because even my girlfriend said, "Baby, I thought you got this so that you don't wear the watch to sleep." I said, "Yeah, but I think I cannot live without it."
Another thing which is very different than Apple Watch, for people who don't know, you get this for free. You have to pay subscription every month.
I just
right?
want to say that too.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, because at least people need to know the context, right? You buy an Apple Watch, like forever, it's with you.
But
this one has a subscription, so I haven't 1 year yet, so I do not know whether or not I'm going to renew it. I understand that this is how they keep you in their ecosystem. Is that if you get somebody else to, like a referral code, and then you get like free 1 year, I think that's probably what I would do. But if I had to pay for it, I wouldn't pay for it.
Okay.
The subscription. Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't renew it.
No, it means that if I'm going to need to pay, I probably will do like a referral program.
Okay.
I think the referral program entitles you for a free 1 year subscription. I think so. So I will probably do that. But if no one's going to go with it, I don't think I'm going to pay for it.
How identical is the other readings from both?
The sleep tracking,
sleep or heart
tracking
rate
is
or
very
whatever.
close.
Okay.
Heart rate, I didn't test it with this, but heart rate, when I was doing my medical checkup, I did it at BP Health, and when I was doing the stress test, I told the doctor, I said, "Can you just wait for? I want to try to see how accurate is."
Yeah.
As a tech guy, I wanted to know. It's just 1 BPM difference.
That is
That's
negligible,
very
right?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So heart rate wise, I didn't do a comparison side by side, but sleep tracking, it's almost the same. Workout, like specific workout, I still think the Apple Watch is better. Again, it's the app experience, which I think that once Apple releases their new Watch OS update, It might be as close as possible, but if you see how the app is, it's way better than what the Apple Watch series now looks like. It is very in detail. They even have like a PDF format results that they come up with every single month, which is amazing. So you can even take that and just show it to a doctor. So this is my reading, or your fitness trainer, you can show it. So for me, those are the reasons why I feel like it's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you tried, or I'm sure you know, the Aura ring?
I want to, but unfortunately, again, it's not here in Malaysia.
My friend uses it. He really loves it.
That is something whereby even like my girlfriend, my partner also said that she was looking into having that because she's not so much into, because she doesn't wear her Apple Watch to sleep because she doesn't like the idea, but she likes the idea of just having a ring wherever. So, but I understand that a ring is very good for sleep tracking, but not so much for your heart rate monitoring and not so much for your workout detection.
Like sports and all.
But I don't think that I'm gonna be. That's why I say now. I might be. I don't think I'm gonna wear 3 different devices to sleep, but I don't know. I might.
Yeah,
when I get married, it might be my wedding band.
They might come up with a necklace as well.
Exactly.
Walking around with everything. Like a zombie. Okay, so unfortunately, we have to wrap it up.
Yes, of course.
But keeping the tradition of the podcast.
Okay.
You don't want to be on, our theme. You mentioned earlier there are some things which you tried, didn't work out. If you don't mind sharing in the end.
Of course, I would love to share. Of course, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you want to do things which is out of the usual, out of the norm, because I'm going to go into the difficulties faced as a business owner for a YouTuber. Since that's the theme for this podcast anyway, people will be like skipping only now and they start watching. If you plan to scale, it can be very stressful because you can do projection for your financial projection. Because I'll be honest, and I'm gonna be very honest for you and everyone. My monthly projection, my yearly projection compared to 2 years ago and now, it has reduced. And what sucks is that now I have a team. 2 years ago, it was just me and one editor. Now I have 2 editors. I have one guy who's doing graphic, another guy who's my QC guy, and I have a team of 6, including me. So there are times whereby you can go like, oh my God, what am I doing?
That's a SME, 6 people.
Exactly.
Right?
And the monthly projections can be a little different. And the other dark side of doing content creation in Malaysia specifically is the payment. How fast you get it. It's not like other countries. Even China does it way better than Malaysians. Because remember I talked about how we have agencies? So the agencies will take their time. So it can go up to 6 to 7 months after you finish a campaign.
Half a year. That's insane.
So that's the dark side. That is your theme of this, right? So you need to manage your expenses and only realize that, I did this video in the month of February, but I have to wait how many months to get my money. So what's going to happen every month then? So because of these uncertainties and this kind of situations, there are certain things which I want to do. Before I move into my new studio, I actually created my old studio. I created like a content creator studio.
Like a co-working.
For example, like if you want to do this podcast, which is something which I may go into. Maybe my current studio, because of space, I probably want to like build a podcast studio for people like you to just come in and just rent an hour where I have the cameras ready. So moving forward, this quality might improve. So things like that. The reason why is, I created a content creator studio with green screen and stuff like that. I did my market research, and my initial market research, everybody was like, once it's ready, I'm going to do it. I will come.
I'll be there.
I'll pay. Don't worry. It was all ready. I didn't do marketing, but I read this book by Noah Kagan, The $1 Million Weekend. A very nice book. And he said that he told me to do, he mentioned the book, not told me. He mentioned that in the book that ask at least 3 people who's willing to pay for your service now. If you can get the 3 people to pay now, then you know you can at least start something. He was ready. I
Okay.
approached people,
Huh.
put up on Instagram. Nobody was willing to pay.
Okay, so that was a nice litmus test, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
So
That is-
it wasn't a litmus test. It was something that was already there, and I already renewed my contract
Oh,
for
this
the
was
older
after.
place.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, but I thought that there's going to be a lot of people who, but no, not in this country at least. People then after talking to a lot of people, then you say, oh, a lot of content creators they don't earn money. Maybe that's the reason why they rather do it themselves. Like even for you, I do not know whether you are willing to once my podcast studio is ready. Maybe you might see the price and you'll be like, hey, I'm still going to do it here. So we do not know. So it did not work for me, and it was frustrating because my original idea was to either make it to an Airbnb place or do this. I was more excited doing this because with my knowledge,
Yeah.
with my experience, the place was set up perfectly where you just had to sit down there and press record.
Yes.
But it was there. Not a single person reached out to pay. They were willing to do it for free. But I'm like, it's a business. I need to pay the rental.
Yeah, of course.
So I had to go to the owner and had to do early termination. Had to remove all the plug points,
Oh, which you
which
yeah.
I spent money doing it already, because the owner wanted it in the original
Yeah.
condition, even though it was so beneficial having plug
For
points
him,
everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
But no, the owner was like, no, this is dangerous. I'm like, no, it's not dangerous. It's better because not everything is going on one.
Yeah.
It's
That's-
separate. It's already tapped accordingly. So not only that it did not generate income, but it cost more income for me.
Yeah, it was lost.
Because like and I was paying internet bill and I even said, you know what, I want to extend my contract, but thankfully time internet.
Man,
They were
the-
nice. They were nice to say that okay, we will reduce the penalty and said that we can work something out whereby like because of the situation, because they know me as a creator and they knew my direction of that. So it was something which I was very upset about. And since this podcast is about failed businesses, that would be my failed business, to create a content creator studio, because I had
Didn't
green
work out.
screens.
Yeah.
People do live with horrible green screens, not properly lit, like the face. I'm like, you can just come to my studio and do it, but they do it at home with horrible green screens. It's for free.
Why
and
do
they're
you
not
think
willing.
this happened? Like,
Because when I did my market research, apparently content creators in Malaysia are not making money. That's what they say.
so the people didn't want to pay,
Yeah,
basically. What
they're
they
okay to do for free.
Yeah, of course, but you had costs as well, right? You can't.
So
you can't,
they're
it's not a
just
charity.
not willing to pay. That's about it.
Even if the cost is minimal.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently so.
Wow.
I said, you just tell me your budget because I just want to maintain this.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Oh no, in Malaysia,
Yeah.
you've been here for a while, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so that was something which did not work. I am still a little bummed about it, to be honest. It does affect me, even though it's already closed the case.
When was
But
this?
but early this year,
Oh, okay, very recent.
Yeah, very
okay,
recent.
Okay, very recent.
because I had the choice to extend it. I had to make the decision to extend it in the month of February,
Uh-huh.
and I literally it started early this year, but I literally closed it last month. So it just
Yeah.
happened. Like I had to say it. I was very. It did affect me. I wouldn't say that it did not, because I had my own vision, and it also, I wanted that to be like my another source of income, so that I can, because another dark side of being a content creator, especially on YouTube, is that sometimes you want to do, the ideal situation is to be where Marcus Brownlee and all is at, and don't have to take a single money from any brands for content creation. Just do whatever you want, just rely on CPM and you're sorted, right? But I'm not at that position yet. At the same time, I want to be able to just create content for free, where at least I have, or maybe certain months where it's not up to my exact amount of money that I need to make for the month to cover my salaries and stuff like that. At least that could be something which I can earn on the side, which did not happen. But because my current studio has more space, and something which I do not know is going to happen or not, but because I'm very inspired by what Stephen Bartlett is doing with his podcast and stuff, what you are doing, so I might have a separate channel to do like interviews to talk to people about not about what is not working, which I love it, but about what's working for them, different people from different things. But that is still not my priority, but maybe I want to do it to help people like you, or like instead of it being a content creator space, it could be like a studio podcast space where you just literally press buttons, like 3 camera angles, and everything is done on the spot. I still feel like I want to earn source of income from a different way rather than what I'm doing specifically on YouTube, just for the sake of, in a lack of a better explanation, like, I don't know which book was this, but it was a book which I read about how you should understand what is your tail side of your business. So like Apple, for example, based on research, their main money making side is not iPhone, although iPhone is like their number one selling phone in the world. Is actually through their services, Apple Music, their Apple TV services and stuff like that. So is their main source of income? Is all other things like AirPods. Their AirPods, the amount of money that they're making from AirPods, they can create a separate company if they want.
I think I read it would be, I think, 16th biggest company in the US if AirPods were a separate company.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mind-blowing,
right? And imagine that is just like a small part of the project.
One small product.
Exactly. And people who are not in the industry would not guess that is making a lot of money. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing which I envision Adam Lobo TV, or for my case is Adam Lobo Media Group, is to find other ways or the tails of the business to make money to supplement what Adam Lobo Media Group is all about.
Okay, great. Oh man, thanks a lot for coming. It was, I wish we could talk for hours.
Yes,
but
we will maybe behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, Thanks a lot. Really appreciate your time. It was a pleasure. I don't know how long we spoke for.
I also don't know how long. I didn't look at my watch.
Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate you coming on board, and that's really nice of you. I really appreciate your being here. Thanks a lot, Adam.